Hey guys, I'm DragonZade, and today I'm going to teach you how to play the Pokemon trading card game. The Pokemon trading card game uses a very interesting adaptation of battling and is very different from the games. First off, you'll need a 60 card deck. To begin, you're going to draw 7 cards. Now you're going to look at these cards and you're going to try to find a basic Pokemon. Now, basic Pokemon is basically the first evolution of a Pokemon, and you can identify them because it says basic Pokemon right above their name. So, this time I only have one, so I'm going to choose Squirtle. Now I'm going to put him up front next to my opponent's Pokemon, and that'll be my first active Pokemon. Now, I can't put any Pokemon in my bench since these are both Stage 2 evolutions. Next, you're going to draw 6 more cards. And you're going to place them on your right in a shape like this. And these are your prize cards. I'll explain those later. Alright, next, you're going to flip a coin to decide who goes first. One person flips, the other person calls it. You can use a quarter, a dime, doesn't really matter, or if you're lucky enough, a Pokemon coin. Alright, now after you decide who goes first, you're going to flip over all the benched Pokemon and the active Pokemon. So you can see what your opponent has that's ready to fight. Alright, let's say I won the coin toss, so I'm going to draw a card from my deck on my left. Okay. It's a basic Pokemon, Mr. Mime. I can put it in my bench here. Now, in order for Pokemon to use their attacks, you need to attach these cards called energy cards. There's one for each type of Pokemon. So I'm going to attach this water energy to my Squirtle. And basically you just place it underneath the Squirtle. And now it has one water energy attached. Now it can use its bubble attack, which does 10 damage, and it says flip a coin. If heads, the defending Pokemon is now paralyzed. So I'm just going to follow the directions and then add the damage. Let's say I flip the coin, it's tails. My opponent is not paralyzed, but it takes 10 damage. And how you represent the damage is with damage counters. Now these can be anything from pennies to dice, little pieces of plastic. I have a ton of these, so I just use these. And one damage counter represents 10 damage. Now, after I attack, it's my opponent's turn. So he's going to draw a card, and he can attach an energy to his Jigglypuff. And now it can use its move Lullaby. He uses that, and my Squirtle falls asleep. Now, while my Squirtle's asleep, I'm going to turn it 90 degrees to the left. I'll explain that later. And now it's my turn. I'm going to draw a card. I got Paris. I can put this on my bench right away. And since I have Parasect, I normally would be able to evolve it, but I can't do that since I just got it. I have to wait another turn until I can evolve it. However, I can evolve my Squirtle, and you do this simply by placing the evolution card right on top, and now it's a Wartortle. Once evolved, the Pokemon's status is always cleared, and it's a normal status. However, the Pokemon keeps any damage counters that it had before evolving. Next, I can attach another water energy to my Wartortle, and you can only attach one energy to one Pokemon for each turn that you have, which is kind of slow, but that's how the game works. So now he has 2. And now, that's that. So let's explain retreating. Let's say I want to take my Wartortle out and replace it with something like Paris or Mr. Mime. Now on each Pokemon card, you'll see on the bottom right, it says retreat cost, and it'll have a number of white circles. The white circles are the retreat cost, and this Pokemon's retreat cost is 1. So I'm going to take 1 energy that was attached to him and put it in my discard pile. Discard pile is right behind your deck. Now I can retreat the Wartortle and replace it with another Pokemon. Now Mr. Mime is the active Pokemon. Now the other way that I could do this is using a card called a trainer card. They look like this. It says trainer on the top and whatnot. It has a picture and a description. This one says switch. Switch one of your bench Pokemon with your active Pokemon. Pretty simple. These are easy to understand. You just follow the directions and then discard the trainer card. You can use as many trainer cards as you want, unlike energy cards, for each of your turns. You can use 5, you can use 0. Now, I'm going to explain knockouts. Now let's say this Jigglypuff is about to die, has a lot of damage, it's been through a rough fight. My Mr. Mime uses his Meditate, does another 10 damage, and the Jigglypuff has run out of HP. Now my opponent will take the Pokemon card, put it in his discard pile, and he'll also take any energy or other cards that were attached to it and also discard those. Next thing that you need to know is weaknesses. And a weakness basically just doubles the damage that the attack does. So let's say this Magnemite is against my Wartortle. The Magnemite is obviously electric type and Wartortle is water type. And you can see on the bottom left of every Pokemon's card, it says weakness and it has a type. His weakness is electric, so when Magnemite uses his Thunder Wave, which normally does 10 damage, it will be doubled to 20. And now Wartortle has 20 damage rather than just 10. Next is weaknesses. Now let's say my Mr. Mime is going up against this Chansey. As you can see, in the bottom middle of every card, it says resistance. However, many Pokemon don't have a resistance, but this one does. It says resistance has a psychic icon and -30. That means that whenever it takes damage, you subtract 30 from it, and that's how much damage it really takes. So when Mr. Mime does Meditate for 10 damage, you'll actually subtract 30, it'll be -20, so it takes 0 damage. Now, next is how to win. You win when you knock out, most of the time you win when you knock out 6 of your opponent's Pokemon. Every time you knock out a Pokemon, like I did with Jigglypuff, I would take one of my prize cards. Now I can use this card however I want. After I knock out another, I take another one. And once I've knocked out 6, all my prize cards are taken, and then I win. You can also win if your opponent runs out of cards in his deck to draw for each of his turns, or if your opponent has no Pokemon in his bench to replace the one that's up when it gets knocked out. Alright, and last is status effects. There are 4 different ones. First up is sleep, which I already told you a bit about. Let's say my Mr. Mime got asleep from a move. Now you turn it left 90 degrees to show that it's sleeping. Now after each person's turn, you flip a coin. If it's heads, then it wakes up. If it's tails, it keeps sleeping. A sleeping Pokemon can't use a move, and it can't retreat unless you use a trainer card like Switch. However, all statuses, like sleep, can be cured by evolving the Pokemon. Next is confusion. To show that the Pokemon is confused, you flip it upside down. And while a Pokemon is confused, you have two options. You can attempt to use one of its moves, or you can attempt to retreat. Now, let's say I want to attempt to retreat. Now, I would flip a coin. If it's heads, I can pay the retreat cost and retreat to the bench. However, if it's tails, I have to pay the retreat cost and stay there. Then you'll have to wait until next turn to try again. Now, if I want to attack, I'll have to flip a coin to see if I can even attempt the attack. Alright, next is paralysis. To show paralysis, you turn the Pokemon 90 degrees to the right. While a Pokemon is paralyzed, it can't retreat or attack, just like sleeping, but it can be cured by evolution and trainer card benching. And next is poison. When a Pokemon is poisoned, you would usually need a special kind of marker that you would put on the card. And each turn, after each player's turn, the Pokemon takes 10 damage. It's not affected by weakness or resistance at all. And now, finally, is the concept of colorless. Now, there are a lot of Pokemon that have these white cards, a little white circle with the black star in it. It's like, what the heck is that? Okay, these are colorless Pokemon. They're kind of like normal types in the games. And basically, colorless Pokemon, for their colorless attacks, they can use any type of energy for them, as long as you have the right number. So, this one can use its move Pot Smash for 3 colorless energies, so I could use 1 grass, 2 water, 1 grass. I can use any combination of any amount of energies, which is a big advantage. However, many colorless Pokemon are not quite as strong as the ones that are not colorless. Alright, now you guys know how to play the Pokemon trading card game. Go out there, trade with your friends, and have fun. See ya.